What's the most you should pay for all 13 Mac computers right now? Let's talk about it.
But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me.
Welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to do in this video, I'll just set it up from the very beginning, is I want to go ahead and there's about 13 different models of Mac computers right now. And let's say you're looking for, let's just say an M1 MacBook Air, right? What is the price you should be paying right now? It's about spring, obviously 2023, but what's the price you should be paying right now for that computer? So I'm going to go through all 13 models and give you what I think is the best price right now. Like what should you pay for an M1 version of the MacBook Air versus the M2? And I'm going to give you my kind of recommendation of the price point to look for. So if you're thinking about buying a Mac, and I'm going to go through all 13 of them, I'm going to show you the best price you should be looking for right now, and let's get into it. All right, first one we're going to start with is the M1 MacBook Air, all right? We know it's getting old, we know it's been out for a couple years now, so what I want to do is just kind of give you an idea how this video is going to go. The list price of that is $999. Do not spend anywhere near that. The price range that you want to find that right now, find this deal, only buy it in this range, is going to be, I would say, about $729 to $799. So if you can find it from $729 to $799, you should pick it up, all right? Let's look at my screen over here. Right now, again, this is subject to change at all times, but right now it's at Best Buy for $799 right now, so it falls within that range. But since it's getting older, and obviously with the M3 coming out soon, I would look for even $749, $729, somewhere in that range. But $799 is a great price on this right now for what you get, so look this one up, $799. All right, M2 MacBook Air. That retails, I think, for what is it, $1199, so about $1,200. What you should be looking for, and it's actually on sale right now. This is a good price here. I would say in the $1,000 to $1,049 cost, so $1,000 to $1,050, somewhere in that range. Let's look at the screen over here. Here's B&H right here. They have it on sale right now for $1,049. You can see it right on my screen here. Again, subject to change, but this would be a good deal. It's $150 off. Obviously the M3s are coming out, but if you can find it for this, it's a good deal. All right, M1 Mac Mini. This is not going to be the easiest one here because obviously you don't want to pay retail for this. I think the retail version was $699. Don't pay that, all right? I'm showing you my screen over here. This is one of the cheapest ones I saw new right now. They're actually selling it new from OWC for $519. Don't buy it for $519 either. If you're going to pick up the M1 Mac Mini, look for sales coming up in the $400 to $450 range. I mean, if you're a student, maybe even a little bit less because you can get the M2 for a lot less, $499. So definitely look at this, but only if it's in that $400 to $450 range, somewhere in there. Otherwise, just go with the M2 Mac Mini. All right, the M2 Mac Mini, what's the good price point? I would say, I've seen sales now, I would say anywhere from $529 to $549 is where you want to find this right now. And people are going to say it's already a great deal at $599. But look at my screen over here, $549 right now at B&H, and you can pick it up right now. So if it's that cost right now, it's only going to be about this later, or it's even going to go down from here. And obviously there's an M3 coming out later. But look for this price point. Obviously if you're a student, you can get it for $499 just without any discounts. And that's about as best as you're going to be able to do right now on that. All right, the next one everyone loves to hate, but it's not really a bad deal, right? This is going to be the Apple 13.3-inch MacBook Pro. So it's got the old body style, but it's the M2 chip in it. So M2, how much should this be? Well, I'm actually looking at my notes here. You want to pick this up in the about $950 to $1099, somewhere in that price range, right? $1099 on the high side. Now this retails at $1299, so even $1099 is $200 off. You get the M2 chip, you get the cooling fans, you get the old body design, and you get only the 2 ports. Now some people like that old body design more than the new one even actually. So if that's you, then pick this up because it's actually a pretty good performing MacBook for the cost. I mean, $1099 is still a pretty good cost for the M2 chip on this, but I understand it's the old design. So maybe look, in the future, I think I've seen this for $999 one time. So somewhere in that range, it's still a good deal with that M2 chip. All right, now the base model 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 chip, so M1 base model. This is actually, again, getting a little bit older. There's an M2 version out right now, but this is an incredible deal if you can pick it up at this. So obviously it costs about $19.99 retail. That's basically what the retail is. Over here at Best Buy, you can now get it for $15.99, so $400 off. I would say that's actually a great deal. It comes with 16 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD on that system. You really want to consider this one even over the M2 MacBook Air and stuff like that. I think this is actually a really good deal. I've actually seen these go as low as $14.99, so I think that's what I'm going to do here. Between $14.99 and $15.99 is a buy right now on the M1 14-inch MacBook Pro. It's a mouthful, but that's actually a pretty good deal. All right, what makes this even harder though is what is the great cost for the M2 14-inch MacBook Pro? So the next version, the M2. The retails, again, same cost basically, $19.99 is really the retail cost of this. So it's going to be the same as the M1 as far as retail. It's going to be more expensive, obviously. Let's look at B&H. $17.99 right now. So, and I'm not going to even give a range there. If you can get this for $17.99 right now, the 14-inch with, it's the base model obviously, and it's basically just going to have the chip difference. It's got 16 gigs and 512 gigabyte on the SSD. This is a great deal. $1,800 for this is really good with the M2. But like I just said, if you can find the M1 for $15 or $14, you're talking $200 to $300 difference. And I don't think you're going to see a ton of difference. I mean, realistically, most people aren't even going to use the M1, let alone the M2. So saving that $200 to $300 is going to be up to you, especially if the M1 version of the 14-inch starts to plummet. Definitely that's a better deal. But right now, $17.99 for the M2 version, you can't complain. All right, next is the M1 16-inch MacBook Pro, and let me just kind of say that this actually usually started at $2,500, $2,499. Right now, if you get the M1 version of it's the M1 Pro chip, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD. Look over here, it's at B&H right now, $18.99. So it went from $2,500 to $18.99, and I'm not going to change that cost. If you can pick up the M1 version of this for $18.99, it's more than anybody needs right now, especially, I mean, if you're a super heavy video editor and stuff, you know what you need, but most people, this is going to be so much power for them. They don't even need the M2 version of this. So if you can find this for $18.99 on the M1 version, pick it up. All right, now we're talking about the M2 MacBook Pro 16-inch with the M2 Pro chip, right? So then it's the newer chip on it. Again, this starts at about $2,500 retail. That's the retail of it, and you don't want to pay that. I see a lot of sales going on. So this is the complication. You can get this right now on B&H for $2,249. So what is that? $250 off right now, the retail cost. So I'm not even going to change that cost. That's a great deal if you want to pick up the newest version of the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Pick it up, all right? That's a good price. But the thing you're going to have to compare it to is $18.99 for the M1 version of this, or $22.49 for this version, which is the M2 version. Is it really worth that difference of, what is that, $400 or so? I mean, most people aren't even going to be able to use the M1, let alone the M2's power. If you're a video editor and you think you're going to get that 8 or 14% more off the CPU, they both share the same RAM and the same SSDs and stuff. I think it's probably worth it just to, obviously to think about it, but probably go with the lower model here and get the M1 version. Overall, though, this is more about the cost, and I think $22.49 for the 16-inch. All right, so now we're talking the 24-inch iMac, all right? 24-inch iMac, the M1 chip. Now, this is going to hopefully be renewed soon, so if you're going to be buying this, it's still a great system. It's sitting right here. I'm talking about the base model as well. You should pay no more than, and there's only one really place to get this, although I've seen some sales out there. I read somewhere it was on sale. I didn't see it myself for $999 brand new, the base model, but I haven't seen that. Go to the Apple Refurbished, look at my screen here. This one here is $10.99, so it's basically $200 off. Again, this is the base model with only 8 gigs and 256 gig SSD, which is the same I have over here. So overall, though, it's a great system. For $10.99, 4.5K screen, you get, I mean, let's just be honest, it's going to be the best all-in-one that you can get, including the screen, really, because a screen like this would probably cost $800 by itself. So when you do the math on that, $10.99 is a great cost on this. So until we get the M2 or M3 version coming out, I think that's a good price. All right, the next one is going to be the Mac Studio Base, and this is going to be the M1 version right now because I don't have an M2 version out there right now. So I think that the best price right now you can get, now again, well, hold on a second. It retails for $19.99, all right? So, and I'm looking at, here's Best Buy right now, and I couldn't find any sales. It's $19.99 right now, so it's the same cost, right? But realistically, and I'll tell you what I think you should be paying, but realistically, I think that's a great price, all right? This thing comes with 32 gigs of RAM, comes with 10 core CPU, 24 core GPU, 512 gigabyte SSD, and for $19.99 compared to the other systems, of course you have to add your own monitor, it's still a powerhouse. It's more than anybody will ever use in most cases. I would say 98% of people. There's some people that can push this, obviously, but overall, I think that if you're looking for a computer that's going to last you a long, long time and you're willing to spend $19.99, this is totally worth it. Now let's get into what I think you should be looking for. I think you can look for $17.99 as the best price on this right now, because I've seen it for that a couple times. I've seen some super sales where it comes down to that price range, sometimes $18.99. I think 1 or 2 times I saw it at $17.99. So if it dropped there before, you know it's going back. So wait till it gets to about $17.99 and maybe $18.99, and then pick one of these up. And it might drop when the M3s come out, but it's still going to be way more than you need. All right, the next one is the Studio Display. It's not really a Mac, I understand that. It's a display. Now, it retails for $15.99, and you don't want to pay that. Now, granted, there's not very many sales, not really at all, but I think I've seen it at Best Buy for $14.99 one time, so that's obviously a good deal. But I would say scratch all of that, and if you just go to Apple Refurbished, this is the way I would buy it. It's basically always been $13.59 on Apple Refurbished, and they pretty much send you a brand new system with the same kind of, warranties and everything else. I mean, this is from Apple Refurbished right here, and it was like I think it was brand new actually. I'm sure the screens will be too, so save the money. It's already too expensive as a screen. When you get down to $13.59, you can start justifying it a little bit better, but overall, this is the way to go. Don't spend any more than that. And then finally, last but not least, the Mac Pro. And let me just start off by saying, if you're looking for a Mac Pro, right, and you're thinking about buying one right now, you probably should go to the doctor and get your head checked, all right? Because overall, nobody should be buying any type of Mac Pro right now. Here's one from Apple. They start at like $6,000 on my screen over here. You don't want to spend $6,000. Get the Mac Studio and wait for the M3s coming out and wait for the next iteration of this, and hopefully they'll get back into the realm of not having to spend $30,000. These things go up to $35,000 or whatever. Just don't buy this. If you're thinking about it, don't, or obviously just like I said, go to the doctor, get your head checked, and then we'll be okay. So there's no reason to even give a price in this, because you just shouldn't be buying them. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I know it went a little longer, like I said, it always does. And but basically, these are some prices that you want to look for right now. I know these are going to change, subject to change over time, but these are the kind of prices that I think right now, if you're looking at buying something, you can buy them. I'll have a list of all these models. They're not going to list to these exact sites because they change and everything, but I'll list all the different models and I'll link them like to Amazon or something. But if you guys want to just check out all the models I talked about, they're going to be in the description of the video. All right, we'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great day. Peace.